Hey guys, Life Through Lens here. Welcome to yet another episode of Vocal Box. This one is going to be somewhat serious, and by no means is that really out of the ordinary for Vocal Box, or at least as I intend. There's going to be moments where we're going to have a good laugh, and then there's going to be moments where it does get a little serious and in depth. But that's kind of the whole purpose of this, is to present to you guys the thick and thin of everything. I may not go in like extreme detail on everything, but I'll at least allow you guys to see a little peek of my life. That way, it gives somewhat of a personal connection, but not too heavy of a personal connection. Because at the end of the day, you don't know me. I don't know you. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. But for the most part, for anyone that is new to this channel, you don't really know me like that. So there's not really much that I could do for you aside from entertain you or provide a segment where you can put it in the background, or maybe you don't feel like being alone. So you just kind of want something to watch or listen to keep you occupied or to keep you company. This segment is kind of there to feel like you have another person with you. Which, I mean, I guess is kind of like the purpose of commentary and podcasts, but that's like to a T what Vocal Box is. It's to give you guys another person to listen to and relate to, whether you guys know me on a personal level or not. So, at hopes I can develop a somewhat interesting audience out of this, filled with both those within my close circle and those that are more abroad or further out from me. I mean, shoot, for all I know, maybe I can develop new friends out of this. We'll have to see. But anyways, I guess I should get into a topic. Or I guess a good talking point to start off. So, I was also about to mention, I mean, hey, if by some random odds, maybe I find a person on here to date. I don't know the odds of that. I don't know if I want to test the odds of that, but if there's even a chance, that would be quite some crazy stuff. Sorry, I think I like heard a car off in the distance. I don't know if the mic's gonna pick it up. Probably not. But if you guys see me ever like look off to somewhere or like look in a random direction, odds are I probably heard some random noise. Whether the mic picks it up or not, that's usually the case. So, yeah, no schizophrenia, none of that. Just me being curious of my surroundings and noises. Now, the difference to this episode you guys may notice is the, I guess, setting or the time. What you guys will see in that corner, if my finger can point correctly, that corner, that is a salt lamp. So it's not no fireplace, but it should bring a little bit of a peaceful presence to the whole scene. So yeah, you guys will notice that some of these episodes are going to be filmed at different times of the day. In some cases, you may see some brightness, and usually that's natural lighting, not actual light fixture. Or you guys will see settings like this, where I may record a little bit at night, maybe even later on in the night, around midnight, depending on how long I'm up. But all in all, some point at night or more towards the evening. It is currently fall, so the sun does set a little bit early. And obviously, sun rises much later, so there's a good gap of time for dark setting versus light setting. Anyways, yeah. So I guess while I have that whole like connection thought on my mind, something recent has occurred within my life, and some of you close to me know of it. You know, what may have happened, why it happened, how it happened. But on a surface level, breakups. Breakups, they aren't really a fun thing, whether they're a necessary thing to happen or if it's very sudden and not really ideal. They're not always fun to deal with. Like, yeah, in this kind of case, it was a pretty necessary thing for my sake, for my health's sake, for kind of just like the sake of my life goals. The whole thing that I was in, it wasn't necessarily ideal. Like, don't get me wrong, very caring, very sweet, but over time, it wasn't right for me. So it had to be broken off. For those of you that do know what happened, you know what happened, but I'm not going to present that here on a public sense. So, yeah, to kind of make the topic a little more broad, breakups, they do suck. You know, it's like for some, it may be a little bit of an easy thing, whether you're on the good end, the bad end, or the mutual end of things. I've had all three of those scenarios where it's. Sorry, I had a bag on my foot that was bothering me. There's, been times where it was a good thing to occur. There was times where it kind of was bad, and it admittedly had me a little bit messed up, but it is what it is. But then I've also had times where it was a little more mutual. And in those cases, although it had its rough moments, it did eventually smooth itself out. But for this kind of case, it wasn't necessarily mutual. Like it was good in my sake, but admittedly, this is speaking from a perspective once all of that kind of sunk in, the whole aftermath of a breakup. The thing that I notice when people talk about breakups is they talk about the impact, they talk about the why and the how, but there isn't really too much discussion on the aftermath. It's just kind of a jump cut from the exact moment to some point later when the person's already kind of healed from it. But in this kind of case, I do want to present the in between, so no jump cut, just aftermath of a breakup and kind of just how I'm dealing with it. Because it is rough. It is rough. And by far, it's had its ups and downs. It's good that I'm taking some time for myself, but it kind of does suck that a choice had to be made. I wish I didn't have to make a decision, but sometimes certain necessary decisions kind of come with some struggle and some pain and hardship to it. And in my case, right now, I'm kind of in the midst of that struggle. By no means is this a cry for help. It's just more of I guess kind of as this channel hints at by the name of it, kind of like a lens, a presentation, kind of take me as like an example or yeah, I guess like an example of what it's like dealing with the aftermath of a breakup. Like, yeah, it's like even throughout this week, it's like I've had my moments where it was like a burst of happiness and joy, and then I've had my moments just kind of like reflecting, and even moments where I've been a little bit emotional. Like truthfully, yeah, it does suck. It was necessary, but it does suck that I had to make the choice because if you're ever very like committed to a relationship, but then for certain that it's not really going to work out too well, it really does kind of hurt breaking it off. Like, yeah, you may feel like it will be a weight taken off your shoulders, but I think it definitely it does take quite a bit before that weight finally is off you. It's like before that weight gets off you, that same amount of weight will kind of start to get a little heavy before it starts to lighten up, and then you finally have that chance to relieve yourself of that weight, of that baggage, that stress, that set of chains that you're bound to. And I think right now I'm kind of in that point where it's like I've done the breakup, I've acknowledged that the breakup happened. It's just now a matter of handling it and trying to learn to move forward. I mean, I know one thing though. I am going to take a bit before I even dive back into a relationship. Hold on. I realized my microphone is like entangled in random cords down here. There we go. Because I think I want to stand up a little bit. I want to stand up, kind of just get some freedom, get myself flowing. But yeah, I think definitely I'm going to take some time before I even dive back into the romance world. And to be honest with you guys, it's perfectly okay to do that. I myself am kind of trying to learn that. Like, I get it. If you're someone that really, really wants that love and attention, and you feel the need to have that affection in life, just know that although it's hard, it is sometimes very necessary to take some time for yourself. Even if you've already kind of grown comfortable with having that significant other being by your side almost 24/7, whether it's physically or, through text or phone calls. For my case, it was a mix. So it takes some adjustment. And it will suck from time to time. You will feel that pain, that ache, if you're kind of in my circumstance where, although it's necessary, you didn't really want to do the breakup, but you kind of had to. It's like if you're in that circumstance, then you kind of get where I'm coming from a little bit. You didn't quite want it to happen, but now that it did happen, you're just kind of learning to heal yourself from it, to kind of heal any open wounds that may have occurred throughout that relationship. And I think right now that's what I'm kind of doing, is focusing on the healing aspect. So it's bound to be a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, I kind of foreseen it as a roller coaster, but yeah, that's just kind of what I'm going through, as a roller coaster. I mean, you guys will even notice that between this episode and the previous episode, you'll kind of notice a significant difference. Previous episode, I was more energetic, I was more sprung and spry, and that was most likely recorded still in the midst of a relationship, whereas this one's post-relationship. So there is going to be a bit of a distinction. There might be an energy shift. So just kind of be prepared for that. You might notice that happen between a few episodes. Not that I've recorded any others prior to this. If anything, I had to kind of take a moment to grasp myself to even let alone make such a big decision. But I'm sure many can say this within my close circle, and I myself can say it. It's some well-needed time, and I'm sure over time I'm going to do plenty better. It may take a while, but sometimes very beneficial things do take quite some time to develop, and I am aware of that. So, yeah, over time, I'll be doing plenty better as it all progresses. So, for some episodes, you'll notice I'm a little bit down, I'm a little more serious, but you'll notice in probably like handfuls of other episodes, I'm back to energetic, back to being so bright. So it's just right now with this episode, it's gonna take a little bit before you see it. But I'm sure it probably won't take too long for you guys because this one amongst the episode prior to this one is going to be a part of a batch of episodes. So at some point, I'm just going to be rapid fire uploading, maybe like 1 to 2 episodes per week. And that's kind of the plan. So by no means am I really taking a hiatus from YouTube. I'm just more so busy for YouTube. So although it seems like a bit of a time gap between the last time I uploaded to all these episodes coming out, trust me, it's not me taking a break. It's not me taking a hiatus. I already took one, and that was sometime prior to the relationship that I just got out of. But after that hiatus, I'm kind of done taking hiatuses for a bit. Unless things really do begin to be too rough to where I can't even talk about stuff like this to you guys, then odds are I'm not going to be taking another hiatus unless it's really, really crucial for my health. Which I will admit, today, I thought I was going to be having that kind of moment. I thought I was going to have to consider another hiatus, but I managed to grasp myself and get myself back on the reins. I am still on a path of healing, but I'm in a better position than I was earlier. So, yeah, odds are you guys are going to be seeing like a boatload of episodes come out within this whole year. Because realistically, the only reason why I'm taking all this time recording all these is so then I can kind of be ahead of the game. That way it's like a constant, like, piece of entertainment. So that way I'm not like in a pinch to record more. I'm just kind of recording all these episodes when I have the free time, when I feel like I'm able to, whether that means I'm in the right mindset or if I'm at a fair amount of energy to record these. I'm just kind of stockpiling. So in that way, this year can at least be covered. So some videos you guys might see, like, vlogs or maybe separate recordings you guys might see that are more like present day, in quotes, whatever present day may be. This is probably me from the past speaking in future tense. So there might be some little videos sprinkled in here and there from a present time, but a lot of these are going to be from past time. So, like, for example, this recording is in October. I think in particular October 19th. So, odds are, like, let's say it's like December. You guys will probably see some episodes back from like this month and in November bleeding into December. And I'll probably upload a video from December in the midst of all of this backlog kind of being uploaded. Because I want to make this a little more episodic. I want to be able to constantly give you guys this entertainment, kind of like a TV show. I think I mentioned it the last time I recorded this, but kind of like a TV show. It's a constant thing, always recording ahead of time. So odds are some topics I might even talk about, like, let's say real world events, might not even be up to date. They might not be exactly up to date or up to par with all of the info. Like, for example, I could be talking about the whole Diddy case, and before you know it, whenever this is uploaded, there might be like a whole bunch of new info. So, I mean, odds are I'll probably talk about real world cases from within this time frame, and kind of keep an open mind that there might always be new developments. But I think partially I am going to avoid it just in case if there is like suddenly new info. Because odds are with a lot of these videos, it's just going to be a clear cut recording. There is no cuts in between unless something occurs in the midst of a recording. Then that's the only time. Like, let's say a family member has to talk to me, then that'll probably be the only time that I cut something out. Other than that, you're not going to be seeing any cuts. It's just going to be straight through, seeing all my mannerisms, seeing my voice, or not really seeing, but hearing my voice inflection. I think I said this the last episode. If I did, my apologies. It's past midnight, so I am a little tired. So if I repeat things, if I continue to ramble on about nonsense in this episode, that's kind of why. And that's also kind of a warning towards any future episodes that you guys might see. Also, I'm taking these off because I might actually go to bed. Here, let me even sit on my knees for a second. Ow, my knees kind of popped. There, you guys can get a good view of me. Let's see, we're clocking in at roughly 20 minutes. So, yeah, odds are these are my more long form pieces of content. Any vlogs I release might not be even reaching 20 minutes, not even 15, unless it's some sort of montage or compilation. Other than that, my vlogs or whatever might range from 5 to 10 minutes, if not 15 max, whereas these will be 20 and above. Because as I said earlier in this, it is kind of more of the personal, real, raw kind of material, whereas vlogs, it can be really about anything, and odds are those ones will be cut a lot more, cut, edited, whatever the case may be. Whereas this, you won't be seeing any goofy edits or subtitles thrown up. Whereas the vlogs, you might see a little subtitle, a little. I thought I just heard a ding somewhere. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I heard a little ding. So let's see, what's another thing I can talk about during this episode? Oh yeah, binge watching. I started watching the show House. It's actually not that bad of a show. A lot of people say it's pretty boring, but what I say to that is, unless you are into doctor kind of stuff or medical kind of stuff, odds are you are going to find House boring. And that's the same thing for Grey's Anatomy or The Good Doctor. Unless you're truly into medical based shows, and even in some cases if you have enough patience for shows, you're probably not going to like it. You're probably going to find it boring. You might want something that's more clear cut. But in my opinion, for someone who likes medical stuff, who has his moments of patience for shows, House is really good. I started binge watching it. I think I'm almost done with season 1. Possibly. Don't quote me on that completely. I think I'm on episode 7. I think there might be a few more episodes. I'll have to double check at a later time. But yeah, odds are by the end of this weekend, I'll probably blow through season 1. Going to be on to season 2. I like it a lot. I like each character. I don't really know if I have a favorite character by far. I feel like it would be kind of cliche and more of a bandwagon thing to say that I like Dr. House. But it's honestly, yeah, I mean, he is kind of one of my favorites. I know there's another doctor that I like. I can't remember his name. I think it's Dr. Eric Foreman, something like that, something along those lines. But by far, those are my 2 favorites. I think I especially like Dr. House because he kind of reminds me of myself sometimes, how I talk. A hint of arrogance, and I think even his speech patterns and mannerisms almost seem kind of similar to me, or at least how I see myself in my head and hear myself in my head. So I think that's why I like Dr. House, because I kind of feel a sense of like resemblance and relatability in a way. Yeah, I'm not as old as him, not even half, but I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of resemblance and relatability there with his character, except for the fact that obviously I don't have any sort of medical schooling history or a PhD or anything of that nature. I mean, I did think about going for it at some point. It's still kind of on the table. I wouldn't absolutely axe that from the list of ideas, but I don't know. That's the only thing I can't relate on, at least for now, unless I do truly decide to go for that schooling. I mean, honestly, in my mind, 6 to 8 years, I may have a patience for a show, but I don't have that much patience for schooling unless I can stay invested for that long. So yeah, House. I also started watching Heartstoppers. If you're into stuff like that, it's also a really good show. Very, very cool with its animations and its editing style, its film style. I like it. I like the characters in it. I like the story arcs they have so far with each character. And honestly, I disagree with whoever told me that I wouldn't like the beginning of it. I kind of liked it. So, whatever. You can suck it. I liked the beginning because I think it's a good intro. But I started watching that. I think I've pretty much finished Breaking Bad, if not came very close to finishing Breaking Bad. Yet another good show. Admittedly, Breaking Bad has its filler, and it is kind of a slow show, but once you really get into it, you kind of like get addicted to watching it. You almost fall in love with the action and the drama, and you kind of fall in love with like the humor of it a little bit too. So I think that's yet another solid show too. And that's not just to be a bandwagon, that's from personal opinion. I honestly recommend it. See, a list of shows that I want to start watching though. I want to watch I think it's called Rookie. It's a cop show. I think I even mentioned it earlier, The Good Doctor. That's a show I want to start watching. I want to start watching more of Grey's Anatomy. Solid shows. And then I think another show called Banshee. I think that's what it's called. It's another cop show. It's about a person who was once a member of a extremist group who it turns to become a cop and decides to hunt down his own brotherhood, his ex brotherhood. So far, I've been seeing lots of clips of it. It seems very, very fascinating. So that's also another show I want to watch. There's a lot of shows that I want to binge watch. I've got a list. I've just been procrastinating and have been caught up with a lot of stuff. So maybe one day I'll sit down and finally watch it all. But right now, my current fixation is House. So I feel like until that fixation is taken care of, I'm probably gonna be stuck on that show for a while. Which honestly, I'm not mad. It's a really good show. I honestly recommend it. If you like medical stuff, absolutely watch House. You'll love each character. You'll love some of the humor. And even though Dr. House is an arrogant character, you kind of learn to love the arrogance and the humor that he has. He almost reminds me of a teacher that I used to have. Because I used to have a teacher that was like, he kind of had a similar level of arrogance. It's like you kind of knew when he was joking because his humor almost blended in with his sarcasm. But once you kind of pick up on it, you kind of notice that he's never really that serious. He just has a serious tone with his humor. So pretty much arrogance. I think that's another reason why I like Dr. House as a character. He kind of reminds me of that. Alright, so odds are this is probably the only cut of the video, because my camera just decided that it wanted to stop recording because it reached its limit for whatever reason. So this might be the first episode where there is technically a cut. It's really just realistically two separate clips that I'm splicing together. It's all still kind of continuous, but it's the only cut. Which, I mean, it is kind of convenient, I guess, because now I'm starting to really become tired. So if I do continue recording this, odds are I'm going to keep just continuously yammering about nonsense. Which, I mean, I technically do anyway, but this would be a never ending episode. And I don't think we need that. So, yeah, I kind of dug into some personal stuff, personal life. And I talked about some fixations I have for entertainment. So, I don't know how you guys will feel about this episode. It is a little more on the serious side, but nonetheless, if you did find some sort of enjoyment or relatability in this episode, make sure to leave a like, leave some comments if you have any sort of input or feel the need to share any thoughts. If you are new here, by all means, please do subscribe. You'll miss moments like this where we're more serious, or maybe some of the funnier moments. Nonetheless, you're missing out on quite some great content. I do put my heart and soul into these videos, even in the vlogs. If they seem somewhat cookie cutter, trust me, I spend quite some time doing all of this, especially these episodes. So I don't want you to miss out. So be sure to subscribe. Click notification bell. That way you for sure don't miss out. So that way you'll get caught up with each and every single video. You guys won't miss out, especially since I have plans on rapid firing a lot of these. So for sure don't want to miss out. And yeah, until the next episode or until the next video, this is Life Through a Lens, signing off.